All right, welcome on in to another episode of Oh So Curious Times DCU Daily. We're kicking off the week with a packed show. As per always, we have lots to talk about from the world of Marvel, DC, Hollywood, Star Wars. You tell us and we will talk about it. In fact, we've got a couple of things that you guys pointed out to us in the comments over the weekend, so we've got those as topics as well. Of course, we will have a Q&A session on Friday, but today we're just gonna dive into what was a packed weekend of news because the Star Wars Celebration was happening in Japan. Of course, Sinners came out, broke records. Minecraft is still going out there and making record-breaking money every day. So Warner Brothers is off to a good weekend. Had a good weekend, Easter weekend. Let us know how good was it for you. Did you have fun with Easter? Do you celebrate Easter? Or maybe you just do some of the things like you exchange cards, or maybe you go to church. Do you let us know how you spent your time? Of course, it is Easter Monday. We're gonna talk about WrestleMania, of course, because that was the big event of the weekend as well. And today Monday Night Raw is happening as we speak. So I'm sure we'll have something to talk about there as well. So to do that and so much more, Superman, DC, Marvel, Doomsday, all that, we're gonna do that as we always do by hitting the intro, and on the other side I'll bring in John and we'll get things started. Oh, look at that. It's me again. And yeah, it's a packed show, as I said before the intro. So to do that with me today, I've got John. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
It was, kind of eventful because of the holiday. Ate a lot of good food, terrible food. And by terrible food, I mean a lot of candy. But for the most part, it was a good day. It was just a relaxing day. Didn't do a ton. Just stayed home. I mean, Easter isn't like Thanksgiving or Christmas where it's like huge. It's kind of like,
yeah,
you don't have to do a ton. And I mean, most people don't celebrate it. Not even like in a non-religious way where it's like you got religious and non-religious doing Christmas. Like everybody celebrates Christmas at this point, but Easter is just like kind of the weird holiday where it's like, mostly diehards kind of still celebrate it. But then there's people that are like, I want a chocolate bunny. And then I want to eat lamb. I mean, that's what we eat. I don't think.
No, I was going to say,
to be fair, not a lot of people like
delicious.
lamb. So there's that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I would like to mention one thing before we start. If you eat lamb with mint jelly, there is a special place in hell waiting for you. I'm just going to say that.
I mean, a good mint sauce.
Fucking degenerate.
I'm just saying, a good mint sauce is.
No. I didn't say mint sauce. I said mint jelly. There's a difference.
I did not know there was a difference. So clearly, I haven't had it. So I for one am not somebody who has experienced that before or have any desire to. But with that in mind, John, as we always do, we're gonna kick things off with the news. So let's cue up Ryan Gosling's beautiful, lovely Knuff voice. And then on the other end, we're going to dive into Sinners, the weekend box office, the Pope passed away. And of course, we also have to talk about The Last of Us season 2. It happened, everybody. Joel went golfing. We'll talk about it. So yeah, take it away, Ryan.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. Number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see Corbin's.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the world needs now.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. Well, let's get into the news. Right off the top, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about the weekend box office. So, of course, the big movie that came out this past weekend was Sinners, not starring one, but two Michael B. Jordans. And well, Liz hasn't gone to see it yet, but she will. She was busy with a couple of special events where she got a number of really fantastic autographs from some of your favorite celebrities, as she always likes to spend her week. She loves going to comic cons and other events of the sort. But John, you went and saw the movie. We're gonna review it a little bit later, but for the time being, I just want to talk about like the box office performance of this movie, because it blew away everybody's expectations. Now I'm gonna kind of start off and paint a picture here for you, and then I'll bring you in for your reaction. So we have a number of articles here, headlines that kind of paint the picture for what the weekend was like from the beginning of the weekend, where you had a $19.2 million opening day for Sinners, and a Minecraft movie, but at the time it was still looking like it was going to end up being the number one movie in its third weekend straight, and also the third weekend of release. So they were going to be tracking pretty close, but Minecraft was still ahead, and Sinners had a fantastic opening or preview day with 4.7 million. We talked about it last week, and then opening day on Friday was 19.2 million. So already was off to a great start. Now, as the weekend went on, however, while Minecraft obviously made plenty of money, it's now surpassed $700 million at the box office. We're going to talk about that in the quick hits as well. But Sinners finished the weekend at the global box office with a total of 63 million at the and that's a really good number. That's one of the highest starts for any horror movie, especially an original horror movie that's not a franchise, prequel, sequel, spin-off. So that's great. You could see that here. Deadline also reporting the same. We both movies having a great weekend. And then we started to get close to the end of the week, or weekend I should say, and get like numbers regarding Sinners with what they did domestically. And the final update, the Monday actuals, as they call them in the industry, were $48 million. It opened up ahead of Minecraft, bringing in 48 million in its opening weekend. At number one, Minecraft came in at number two at around 40 million, John. So from the beginning of the weekend, even leading up to the weekend, we were thinking, Sinners will do good, but it won't beat Minecraft. And Minecraft being in its third weekend, goes to show you how popular that movie is. But of course, by the end of the weekend, by Monday morning, we knew that it had overperformed, Sinners did, and it actually won the weekend. So that looked fantastic. And it's not like Minecraft did bad numbers. Minecraft still made $40.5 million in its third weekend. So it's now made $343.8 million, and that tally is still going up. And in total, over 700 million at the box office. But of course, we're talking about Sinners right now because that's where the spotlight is at. Warner Brothers confirmed it as well. $48 million in its opening weekend. It topped the box office. It's the only horror film in over 35 years to receive an A cinema score. We will also discuss that a little bit more. So, John, this is now, when you look at the domestic opening, 48 million, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Worldwide, it did 63.5. The domestic opening is the best opening at the domestic box office in North America for an original film this decade. All of those numbers and records, you look at them, what are your thoughts on where this movie is? And we're going to get into the Tarantino controversy in a little bit, but just, talking about the success it's already had in 3 days of release, now in its fourth day of release. What are your thoughts?
I think that's amazing. Like, that's what it kind of was. Like, when it was like initially announced, the first trailer, I'm like, oh, this will be like a cool, quiet, like kind of movie. Because it's like, yeah, sure, it has Ryan Coogler, it has Michael B. Jordan, it has Haley Steinfeld. Those are three big stars in their own right, as well as a lot of good character actors like Jack O'Connell and Delroy Lindo, and and everyone else, and has even new star Miles Caton, who did a really good job. I was like, okay, this looks great. Like, I was excited, and then the second trailer dropped. I got even more excited. The more and more I saw of this movie, the more and more excited I was going to get. And then, like, time started to come in. Like, they were marketing the movie very well, so I'm like, okay, yeah, if it does well. And then it was like, oh, it's tracking to like make this amount of money. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then, like, now we're just at a point where it's like, it's breaking so many fucking records, and it's insane. I mean, I'm gonna take a wild guess that maybe it's from the clout of, the MCU with both Black Panther movies. Maybe it's because Michael B. Jordan has enough clout to his name that people see that and they're like, oh, great. Maybe people fucking see Haley Steinfeld. She's a big enough star and also another MCU star. I mean, well, all three of them are MCU stars, but maybe it's just enough of the clout between the three of them that they kind of got everybody. You have, you're getting you're getting the black crowds with this one. I mean, you have I mean, there's no non weird way of me saying that. It's like
no, the black audiences are showing up,
audiences. That's a better
they're
word.
supporting it.
But they're supporting it. They see all this
it's a great movie
surrounding
too.
it. But it's just it's also. I mean, I think we touched upon this. I forget, but it was the first horror movie in 35 years to get an A on CinemaScore.
Yep,
35. That
Over
includes
35.
The Substance, which was fucking nominated for Academy Awards and shit like that.
Even that didn't get an A CinemaScore. Yeah.
So that is just insane to me, and considering how CinemaScore pretty much gives out A's to every other fucking MCU movie at this point, I don't know if that really means anything, but I think that's pretty cool.
It's like people being interviewed right out of the theater. Like you walk out of the theater, they'll ask you like, "What did you think about the movie?" So they're real people, giving their opinions, walking out the theater. So it's a more representative measure than even necessarily Rotten Tomatoes, even though Rotten Tomato reviews are verified for the audience, the popcorn meter. But yeah, I mean, cinema it's rare because it's hard. It's hard for a movie. Most Marvel movies these days aren't getting anywhere close to an A, right? Like a lot of DC movies struggle for that too. So it's great. I mean, that's a great accomplishment in its own right. But then I saw, in addition to all the records and stuff, I mean, obviously we just looked at like 5 different headlines. But then there's this social media controversy going on of how people, some headlines out there were downplaying the success of the movie. And then they were comparing it to how with Tarantino, whose movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had the exact same budget of this movie, around 90 million, and made a less than Sinners has in its opening weekend, was getting even more glowing headlines, as you could say, and coverage. Which to that I would say, yes, I've seen a couple of headlines like this. Like Once Upon a Time is a box office hit for Tarantino, and then Sinners is a box office success with a big asterisk. But I don't think that's the trend. That's the exception to the rule, because by and large, a lot of the outlets that I've checked out for this, they're giving it, the props that the movie deserves. They're not like saying, oh yeah, it's not doing as well. Some of the language could be a little bit better. I mean, I think Variety here isn't necessarily, tainting or tinging their coverage by saying that, it has a 90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away. You could say that it's not necessary to put that there to underscore the headline of it made 61 million in its global debut, because if you make 61 million this opening weekend and have the word of mouth this movie does, chances are you're going to not drop off by more than 50% in the second weekend. So you will go past the 90 million that you spent making this movie and whatever you did on the marketing. So, but just by adding that there, I think it's more Variety. I would like to think that Variety is more underscoring the fact that recently Mickey 17 underperformed. Alto Knights underperformed. Those are both Warner Brothers movies, and that after that, Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca had been in the hot seat supposedly that their jobs might be in danger. Last year, Joker Folie à Deux completely shit the bed. So for them, I mean, the Minecraft movie was great, but the Minecraft movie is an IP property. Like it's something that is pre-existing, has a built-in audience. Sinners does not. Like you mentioned all the different things. I think it's a combination of everything. Michael B. Jordan's star power. It's the star power that Haley Steinfeld brings in. Her track record. She's done amazing work leading up to this. Most of her movies have been fantastic. Same for Michael B. Jordan. You also have Jack O'Connell in there. Ryan Coogler, we looked at his Rotten Tomatoes scores for all the other movies just last week when we were looking ahead to the debut of Sinners, and literally almost every movie that he has made is sitting somewhere in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. So you look at that, you look at the MCU audience, the Black Panther fans, everybody is coming in and showing up and showing out. It's kind of like, I think a better comparison would be Christopher Nolan back when he was making the Dark Knight movies, but in between he made The Prestige, he made, and even more so Inception. Those movies had that Batman rub because people were like, oh, the guy who gave us the fucking Dark Knight is making Inception. Of course I'm going to go watch it. And the movie was great, right? But it was a completely original story, non-IP. Same thing here, completely original story, non-IP. And people are going to see it because they love Ryan Coogler, they trust him as a filmmaker. And then, like Sean Fennessy points out here, Sinners, look, for one, I think the movie will be profitable coming out the theaters, like by the time it finishes its theatrical run. But B, even if it isn't, by some absolute miracle, considering how well it started off, it will still more than make its money back in what they call PVOD, which is premium video on demand. When you go and buy it on digital, you rent it when it ends up on Netflix, on Max, everything there. Those are all other means, where the studio is going to make money off the film. Even though the rights revert back to Ryan Coogler 25 years after the release of the movie, for those first 25 years, Warner Brothers will get the money from this film. We got TC24 in the chat. Hello, TC24. So, yeah. I mean, John, this to me is a bit overplayed, like the controversy potentially. It's like social media just social mediaing itself. Because we talk about the big headlines, we looked at all the articles, and this movie is clearly like, not only winning, but it surprisingly beat Minecraft by making more money than the movie that's the highest grossing movie of the year. It's not going to make Minecraft money.
To be fair,
total.
it is the third week.
It is the third weekend, but still, the Minecraft is bulldozing its way to $1 billion. For Sinners to come in and be like, "Oh no, you're not going to get 3 weekends at the top," that's pretty good. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, John? You tell me. What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
So I think, in regards to like this whole I would say this is more of a non-controversy than anything, because I don't think it's just like a few assholes that are being assholes. I mean, there was a whole thing where Ben Stiller fucking said something in regards to this where it's like, they made 61 I think it was 61 million worldwide or something like that. And it was like, oh, well, but they are going to have to really pump it up to break even. And Ben Stiller was like, motherfuckers, 61 million for an original movie in its opening weekend. Why are you downplaying that?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like a couple articles. I think, you know what? It could be on the grounds of like, I think it's just like a couple assholes that are just like being assholes. It could be a race thing, maybe not. Let's not go into that discussion. But it could be. It could be. The idea is there. Like, I'm not stupid, but I think it could also be the idea of like there are so many industry dick writers that are making these articles that are more reliant on IPs because they don't want original movies. I think that at this point they don't want original movies to be successful because that means like
the star power of the actors and the directors are winning, not the IP.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, if the IP is not winning, then the corporations and the studios are not winning. Yeah, exactly. Boom, right there. That's what I was talking about. I wasn't sure if you showed it or not, but yeah, that was the one I saw. I didn't see the Chris Evans one, but it's just a little. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's probably both. It's probably because racism. That's alive and well. That's what this movie was trying to talk about. But at the same time, it could also be like there's a lot of people writing these articles that are like kowtowing to like the corporate, like leave the multi-million-dollar company alone. And so they're defending them instead of defending like an attempt. Not even an attempt. It's successful idea around. Yeah. True art where it's an original IP, a guy who's like entrenched in this story talking about something that's incredibly important, especially in this day and age, even though it is a period piece, sort of unfortunately a timeless idea, and who was so beholden and fell in love to this idea and felt it so much on a personal level that he put it in a clause in his contract that we talked about last week that he wanted the rights back in 25 years.
Yep.
So I think that is definitely, you know, it shows that that is, yes, the uncomfortable conversation is probably the main reason, but I also think it's because even though people claim they want to see more original movies, they really don't want to see more original movies, because then it's more of a pushback against like the corporatization, I don't know if that's a word,
Right.
of Hollywood and the film industry in a whole,
Yeah.
well, the entertainment industry as a whole, because television as
it's
well.
like the Wall Street effect. Yeah, I agree. I think those are all factors in this, but like, look, the fact that it made, like Ben Stiller said, over 60 million, it's an original movie, completely original idea, not based on some kind of pre-existing property, IP of any kind. It should be just celebrated, because it doesn't happen very often. We talked about, not too long ago, Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. It was an that itself was an adaptation, and that underperformed. The Alto Knights was based on a true story, underperformed. So it's difficult to see, movies like, Anora won the Oscar this year for Best Picture. That movie did not make anywhere close to $60 million, and that was an original story. So like most original stories, even if when they're honored at the Oscars, they're not making the kind of money this movie made. Let's celebrate that success, because that means that, people still want to go see, at least to a certain degree, an original movie that can go out there and tell a good story, and have a commentary on social societal issues, and at the same time, be a blockbuster. Like, we want more of those blockbusters. We don't just want Black Panther 3, we also want movies like Sinners, and I'm glad that we finally have it. Speaking of the box office though, John, there was there were a few other movies. Of course, we had some anime out there. There was a faith-based movie out there. Pride and Prejudice did its re-release this week. We have Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith doing its re-release 20-year anniversary. So there was a few other standouts like that. Did you see any of these on the marquee? The King of Kings, The Chosen, The Last Supper, or did you see anybody
no,
going
I
to
didn't
see the
see
Pride
no
and Prejudice
religious
one?
bullshit. Like, hell no.
No, I'm saying, did you see people, or do you know people who went to see
my sister, my sister, who's a really big Jane Austen fan, really wanted to see Pride and Prejudice, but we just couldn't find the time to actually go and see it. My other sister went to go see The Wedding Banquet. I don't know if she liked it or not, but those are the only two I know about. And then of course I knew about the King of Kings and Chosen crap,
right?
But I don't know anybody who watched it.
Yeah, I know that when they last re-released Titanic, was the 25th anniversary, Evan saw it. I haven't seen Pride and Prejudice in theaters, so I don't know. Maybe if it's still playing and I get to go see a movie or two, I might go check that out. Of course, the animated family film Sneaks also opened. We talked about that last year. That's did a decent amount of money, I guess, but not a big movie. There's a Hindi movie starring one of Liz's favorite Hindi actors from Bollywood, Akshay Kumar. Kesari Chapter 2: The Untold Story of Jallianwala Bagh. Like, okay, or Bagh, that usually means garden. The Legend of Ochi opened up at just 4 theaters. That's going wide this week at A24. We're going to be looking ahead to that. And The Shrouds, also a limited release from David Cronenberg. That's going wide this week as well, and Friday.
Hell yeah.
Then IFC Films had The Ugly Stepsister. So yeah, that kind of rounds out the box office. But yes, Sinners is the story of the weekend. It not only came in and took on Minecraft, but it finally beat Minecraft. And after you guys have been like wondering where are all the good films at and why are people going to see Minecraft to the tune of what's probably going to be $1 billion, we now have an option that if you want to watch a movie that is less about chicken jockeys and more about commentary on race and society and Black culture, then you can go see Sinners, and it is a fantastic movie. We're going to review it later in the show, so do stick around. John's went and saw it. He has something to say about it. We're going to talk more about the reviews, the cinema score, and there's so much more to talk about on Sinners. But for the time being, John, we have to switch gears and talk about something else that happened this weekend, which I'm not talking about Easter. I'm not talking about WrestleMania. I'm talking about
We're talking about Golf Simulator, guys.
If you guys have not seen The Last of Us Season 2 Episode 2 yet, then, take this time to mute the show, as long as you see
too late for that.
Pedro Pascal on screen. Yeah, or just to come back and check it out after we'll be getting onto the Pope passing away in a bit. A couple of sad things. But hey, The Last of Us, and John, again, like I did with Sinners, let me kind of go through and paint a picture here for you, and then I'll ask for your take on this because I know you've played the games, but you aren't necessarily the biggest fan of the show. But The Last of Us season 2, everybody was wondering how long are they going to extend this. They want to do more than 2. They said they're going to break up the second game into multiple seasons. So we were all thinking and hoping and wondering, maybe with a sense of morbid curiosity, just when will we be saying Joel no? That's a joke for Caleb if he's in the chat. But yeah, the golf, the going golfing, that was the thing that we were all concerned about. When is that going to happen? And here we are, episode 2 of season 2. It happened. And it happened in the most brutal way imaginable, even more brutal than in the game, because they didn't cut away from Joel when he was getting really spoiler territory now, stabbed in the neck by the golf club. They showed it to you. And this showed the visceral reaction of Ellie as well. And when you look at just how heart-wrenching that scene is, if you saw it, it wasn't easy for the people who shot it or who took part in it. The director, we saw this article in Variety, the director of the episode, Mark Mylod, who the showrunner of the show, is like, he walks on set and he's like the Undertaker, because he's directed a bunch of episodes of Game of Thrones where all kinds of big characters die and stuff. They seem to bring him in at HBO to do those kind of episodes. He directed the episode where the Brian Cox's character in Succession dies in the episode that Mark Mylod directs. So he's the one who has to come in.
I don't fucking know. I didn't watch
the Undertaker. That shit. So yeah, and he talked about the experience, saying, with filming that scene, he had tears running down his face. And they made some changes to how they shot it and what they showed and not showed. Then of course Pedro Pascal talked about the experience, saying that after that twist, he's still in active denial. And then Bella Ramsey just sobbed reading the script. It was a brilliant achievement. If it's painful for people, then they've done their job. I think that's what Craig Mazin said as well. Another headline from Variety saying, The Last of Us shocker, creators tell all on that huge death and bringing that effing horrible video game scene to life. They said, look, we want you guys to know we didn't have fun and we don't have grins on our faces here like, oh my god, we made them cry. No, we were fucking like crying and like having a terrible time shooting this thing for 4 days.
Because Neil Druckmann is an asshole. Thanks for that. He did it out of spite because he hates Joel, so he had to fucking insert this
Craig,
bullshit
the funny
thing.
Story, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann actually were in talks about this when the second game was being made. So Craig Mazin has known about this from the time before the second game came out, that this is what the story of the second game would be. So they've got a long rapport about this, going all the way back to when The Last of Us 2 came out. And yeah, I mean, they said, look, it was an agonizing death. All relationships break. It's the emotional. If the emotional response is not intense, then we effed up. So clearly, Craig Mazin saying, that they were going for the most brutal version of this they possibly could come up with, and it seems like they did. And you see Ellie there on the ground, like looking, and then as Joel is taking his last few breaths, and she's like, "Get up!" and he sort of twitches a little bit, and then he goes down for the count, and you just see like something inside Ellie probably broke in that moment. And now she's gonna be out for revenge, and she's gonna want to it's just this whole cycle of violence and stuff. And that's what the show is about. That's what this show kind of covers. Like, when you push people to their absolute extremes, what did they become? And the creators were saying that that moment, well, Mark Mylod said that moment kind of destroyed him, watching that take, because he's directing this and they're trying to get the best performance out of these actors, the most intense performance they can get. And yeah, I mean, that it's you get into it yourself. I can imagine. As somebody who's directed a few things myself, I'm like, you're in there, you're in the zone. John, what are your thoughts on this? They finally did it.
Yep.
Joel went golfing.
He
Are you
went
surprised it
fucking...
happened as early as it did in the series?
No, they want to get this shit out of the way. Neil Druckmann hates Joel, so they gotta we gotta kill this fucker immediately. Get it out of here, so then we can fucking circle jerk my totally amazing game that fucking only idiots like. And so, let's fucking push this shit for 2 seasons. It's like, All right, here we go, and it's just like we're here we're here for the long run, guys. Let's go. God, we got to deal with this fucking shit all over again.
Yeah. It's it was certainly pretty epic. Ron is in the chat. Elite Easy is here as well. Epically sad, I should say, that whole sequence. Ron wishing Joel bye-bye. He also saw Sinners, saying that he thinks it's the best movie of the year so far. We'll review it in a bit, Ron, so do stick around. We haven't reviewed the movie. We just talked about the box office. We also have TC24, as I mentioned earlier, in the chat watching along. So yeah, be sure to get in the comments down below. I wonder where Caleb is. Maybe he'll show up in a little bit. TC24 saying, I honestly expected them to drag the season out so they could kill Joel near the end of the season. That a lot of us were thinking this isn't going to happen at least until halfway through the season, but like, given, I guess now in hindsight, how episode 1 plays out, and then especially obviously how episode 2, it makes sense, like, that this is where they wanted to go. And now the creators are saying this is gonna basically inform what Ellie's journey is gonna be from here onwards. This is gonna be now, it's a cause and effect thing. I mean, and I mentioned earlier about Bella Ramsey saying, like, she sobbed, I should say, her little heart out just reading the script. Like, she didn't, before she ever got on set. I guess the script was that effective. So, and she said it was the first time I ever cried from reading a piece of writing, which is crazy. Now, of course, it's not like, she's been in the industry doing this for decades and decades, but I'm sure she's read quite a few impressive scripts in her time. So yeah, what a moment that was. This is obviously, she's looking at Joel as he gets bludgeoned by the golf club. They did it, John. They finally did it. And yeah, it looks like this show will probably still go on for another season after this. But the creators also said, I think Craig Mazin himself said, look, this is not one of those shows that's going to drag on forever. Our show has an ending. So I guess they were like, we're going to get to it eventually. Let's do it now. And then, like, let's take the story where it needs to go to its logical conclusion from here onwards. And yeah, I mean, Neil Druckmann is on the writing team. So the decision to make some changes that they have here were clearly, it was, with his approval. So let us know in the comments down below, guys, what you think about this whole sequence of events, as it were. Joel, no, he's gone. We're gonna all miss him. Everybody on set's gonna miss him. They said it was a very sad day on set because obviously now Pedro Pascal is no longer gonna be around for when they're filming the rest of the series, and he's not that he's got he doesn't have much else to do. He's tied up with Fantastic Four, the Avengers movies. He's in the Mandalorian and then Grogu movie. He's got a million different things, and Peter Pascal is plenty busy himself. But yeah, his character Joel has officially done his part in the show. But John, that wasn't the only passing that as it were that happened this past weekend. In fact, today, I mean, while Joel's character is obviously fictional, today we had the news come in. This was like early morning. I woke up at one point in the night and I saw, like, my phone had like a million different notifications from every news outlet imaginable saying Pope Francis has passed away on Easter Monday at the age of 88. He was in his residence at the Vatican, and I think they said that it was a cardiac arrest and a stroke, I believe it was. So a compound event. And I mean, John, I personally, I'm not Catholic, so I'm not somebody who necessarily feels devastated, but I do feel, sad in the sense that he was probably one of the more progressive figures in terms of, the Vatican over the years, and he did a lot for inclusion, across the world, and for the LGBTQ community and this greater representation, and just progressing, the church's cause forward. So
not too much, but he tried.
More so than people before him did. So I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, by the way, before you give us your thoughts, the Truth 31 is here, and Yush is also in the chat. The Truth saying, I hope Bella can carry the rest of the season. That will be key. That will be also, yeah, I mean, let's hope so. They clearly believe in Bella Ramsey. But anyway, John, the Pope passing away 1936 2025 Easter Monday. I don't know if there's any kind of, like, irony or some, like, whatever.
I mean, there is a bit of irony, like, it just can't. This happened a year after Conclave. It happened, a day after, Easter. There is some irony there, but he was sick for a while, and so it was kind of a long time coming, which is unfortunate. But yeah, he did
He did make a recovery recently, but then obviously not out of the woods.
Yeah, and I think it was a stroke specifically that put him into a coma, and then he passed on from there. Um, he was again. I'm not incredibly Catholic anymore, at least. So it's still sad to see because he like tried to be progressive in this day and age in regards to this very traditional thing in regards to the idea of religion. So there's that as well. But hopefully they can keep this going with someone like Pope Francis. I'm not holding my breath, but still sad to see and still important enough to talk about. Maybe not for a long, maybe not a discussion too much, but we're talking about it for a little bit and addressing it, and sad to see, but hopefully they can do something positive in regards to this, like pick another good leader like Pope Francis, but again, probably not.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Speaking of which, if you guys want to know what that process looks like you said, ironically enough, Conclave came out last year, like a year ago, almost to the day. Was nominated at the Oscars, won a couple of things, and it was very insightful into the whole process and like showing, obviously dramatized, but so as a movie podcasting channel, we do movie reviews each and every week, and I guess this is as good a time as any if you are more interested in finding out how the Vatican is going to go about the next steps towards a succession plan. Then go watch Conclave. Obviously a fantastic A-list cast, and it will give you quite a bit of insight into that whole process. And with that in mind, I think that kind of brings us to a close in the news section, John. Now, as always, we transition to the quick hits part of the show. So let me pull up the quick hits. We have a bunch today, and if you want to hit the music, we will get things started. We have some WrestleMania stuff. We have some other movies.
Oh boy, trying to keep the rant to a minimum.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, also we've got DC and Marvel coming up after that too. So. The Last of Us composer David Fleming has now joined John Murphy on DC's Superman movie, and he's also going to be composing some of the soundtrack. Are you surprised that this isn't going to be entirely John Murphy doing it himself? That he's got a partner in crime now in David Fleming?
Could be really good. Really nice to see. I mean, John Murphy's great. Doesn't need help, but hopefully this dude can definitely bring in an extra edge if need be. So yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Moving on to the next thing with the Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race just wrapped up its 17th season. I watched the finale. Fiona loves the show, and it was enjoyable. I was following along this season. I've actually watched the last few seasons. They're gonna do another All-Star season now on Paramount Plus. And the winner, Anya Nerve, I see it's the wordplay. That's really common with the queens. Great name. She did really, really well throughout the show. Obviously, as the winner. And she was talking about just her dream of being now maybe potentially getting into some acting gigs, including Abbott Elementary, which is one of the premier shows on TV right now. And there's a whole interview with her. And you guys, you're welcome to go check this out on Variety. It was fantastic. I mean, she won a bunch of main challenges, so she had a pretty strong case for winning the show by the time they got to the finale. And in the finale, they did a whole lip sync battle, and she took home the crown over Jewel Sparkles, which was another pretty good contender. John, are you a fan of Drag Race? Do you care for Anya Nerve?
Nope, don't give a flying fuck. Don't know who she is. Don't care. I don't watch Drag Race or Abbott Elementary. Don't know who she is. I'm out.
Oh, cool. Look, it's fun. Once you get into it, it's fun. By the way, we have Enterprising in the chat. So hello, Enterprising. He's saying just in time for the quickies. There you go, Enterprising. Thank you for I like the particular way you stated that. But yes. And Fiona, yes, we are talking about Drag Race, your favorite show. And it's now moving on to All Stars. That starts up on Paramount, I believe, in May. And then they'll do season 18, I'm sure, next year. So they don't stop. If you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, they've always got another show coming your way. And that's fantastic. More power to you. Speaking of power to you, may the force be with you, because Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, is coming back for season 2 of Ahsoka. It made official over the weekend. He himself commented on the post saying, "Classic. The legend is back." John, what are your thoughts?
Don't care.
Well, he was really happy. I like seeing that he's happy after, you know, the terrible experience he had with the fans, you know, after the prequel trilogy. Of course, getting together with Rosario Dawson at the event too. The both of them will be co-starring in season 2 of Ahsoka. Of course, it will be fantastic if you're a fan of the show. And yeah, I mean, he's actually, you know, one of the things he said is he likes playing the more heroic side of Anakin Skywalker, which you see more of because, of course, that's how Ahsoka remembers him. Then, of course, the dark version of it that becomes Darth Vader later on. So yeah, I mean, power to Hayden Christensen. Now, in other news from Star Wars Celebration, you can see there Pedro Pascal, you know, no longer
wearing
with
the
Last of Us.
the dumbest fucking outfit like imaginable.
The boots, man, the boots. But Sigourney Weaver is joining the galaxy far, far away, and she said, you know, one of the cutest things she saw on set was, of course, Grogu. We don't know what our character is going to be, but she's going to be in the movie alongside Jeremy Allen White playing Jabba the Hutt's son, which I believe is probably just mostly a voice role. John, are you excited about this?
Nope, don't give a flying fuck. Sigourney Weaver. In terms of space stuff, I'm gonna stick to Alien and Aliens and Alien 3. Thank you very much. So yeah.
Well, I mean, she went from Alien to Avatar to now Star Wars.
Oh
now,
yeah, Avatar. Forgot
speaking
about
of Star Wars, of course, Rory McKellan is now stepping into the role of Baylan Skoll, especially since Ray Stevenson passed away. So in season 2 of Ahsoka, we're gonna see Baylan Skoll return, but now played by Rory McKellan. We got a first look at that. What are your thoughts on this? Again, the untimely passing of Ray Stevenson. We would have loved to just have him, you know, continue to inhabit the character for as long as he could, because he was one of the best parts of what was otherwise an underwhelming show. Do you think Rory can continue on the legacy of the character?
I mean, yeah, of course. Rory McKellan is excellent, great actor, very different. I don't think he's going to try and copy what Ray Stevenson, obviously still fit the character, but I don't think he's going to copy what he did and still kind of just do his own thing. So I think that's kind of cool. I'm not going to watch the show, but, you know, I think he'll do a great job.
Yeah, fair enough. By the way, we also have Steven in the chat now. Hello, Steven Ortega. We have Enterprising. Oh, actually, Enterprising already shouted out. Manos Time is here. Hello, Manos Time. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned. We got lots more to come. One of you guys actually commented about this story on Friday's show because we didn't get to it, but I did come across it, so here we are. Tony McNamara, John, is now signed on to write the script for Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, which is apparently not dead. Taika Waititi is still working on a Star Wars movie, and now it's got a writer, Tony McNamara, who wrote Poor Things and The Favorite. Do you think this movie will actually ever happen?
I hope not. I mean, not like I'm gonna fucking see this shit anyway, because Star Wars is on my shit list and Taika Waititi's is in my shit list, so this is like a double whammy of shit I am never going to see. So
the whole the bingo card is full for you on that one. I, for one, would like to see what he does with it. I think like Love and Thunder was the exception to the rule, because a lot of the other work that he's done as a director, from Jojo Rabbit to, you know, Thor Ragnarok, fantastic. Would love to see if he can actually strike gold here. I'm just worried that, you know, Kathleen Kennedy will cancel it before the movie ever comes out. But Star Wars Celebration, they also announced that you know, the Visions series is getting a season 3, and then also getting a spin-off in the 9th Jedi. So there's that happening. And then the Visions series, the season 1 or season 2, had a number of episodes which are getting sequels in season 3, including The Duel, The Village Bride, and of course the 9th Jedi also getting a spin-off. John, is this one that interests you? I mean, I saw the trailer for it. It was kind of interesting. I haven't really seen all the episodes, but I heard a no from you, which that's not surprising. Moving on to the next thing. We talked about earlier, the Minecraft movie has crossed the $700 million mark. It's actually passed the $720 million mark, and well on its way to $1 billion at this point, you gotta imagine, on a budget of $150 million. And of course, you'll probably spend another $100 million on marketing. But at this point, John, this movie is firmly profitable. Do you think this is gonna make $1 billion given the amount of momentum it has had in 3 weeks alone?
Sure. I mean, we know it's gonna make $1 billion, so yeah. People like IP crap. IP.
Well, they also clearly they like Sinners too, because a lot of people wanted to see that movie too. So let's not be all down and we've got an equal distribution right now. Warner Brothers, for the first time in like 10 years, had 2 movies at the top of the box office. 2 movies that made more than 40 million at the box office the same weekend. It's been a decade. Good on WB for that. Elite Easy is like, I'm waiting for it to come to Max. And Enterprising loved Sinners. He thought it was amazing. Well, we will review it coming up soon. But speaking of Sinners, John, one of the stars of the movie, Jack O'Connell, will next appear as a cult leader in 28 years later. He said of his role in that movie that it's potentially his darkest role yet. He's a gas cunt, he said. Do you believe him?
But he was pretty dark in this.
I know, right? Oh. Although he just wanted to spread peace, right? Like, or happiness. Like that was his stated goal. However dark it actually was. But
yeah.
This is fun. I can't wait to see 28 years later what it does at the box office. We'll have to just wait and see. But of course, John, I mentioned earlier, WrestleMania weekend. There was enough wrestling to watch to basically keep you awake from Friday night all the way till now, because they had like literally something going on every hour of every day. But at WrestleMania night 1, I believe this was. Actually, no, was this night 2? I think this was night 2, actually. And Rhea Ripley came out wearing a costume or a mask that kind of pays homage to the Batman Who Laughs. Your thoughts on this? I mean, the wrestlers love wrestling, and
wrestling is fucking stupid. The Batman Who Laughs is stupid, so this homage is fucking stupid. So, yep.
Elite Easy is going to see Sinners tomorrow. Manos Time asking, do you guys believe that with Minecraft and the upcoming success of Sinners, that there's a chance it will come back to the top? If you're asking if Minecraft is going to get back to the top of the box office, I think next weekend it does. Unless The Accountant 2 can really break free, which, I mean, that's another great movie. So, I don't know. It might get tough for Minecraft to top the box office again. But honestly, it's made enough money that, it doesn't need to be at the top of the box office. Even if it just keeps making $30 million odd dollars for the next few weeks, it will get to $1 billion. You're talking about the debt situation. No, I mean, Warner Brothers has been paying up its debt quite well over the last few years. Their stock has been going up in price because they've been doing a great job of paying down their debt, and I think they need more hits like this, Manos. So yes, I do believe if this kind of success continues, if all the DC stuff does well, then Warner Brothers Discovery's stock will go up, their debt will be more paid down, and hopefully in a few years they'll be going out and buying other companies, or maybe not hopefully, but they'll be in a position to do so. And then Elite Easy, I do think these 2 hits make it a lot better of a road ahead for Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, because they were on a hot seat, and it looks like finally they might be off the hot seat at least. So yeah, I do think this is a good sign for them. A couple of bad ones to begin the year, but Mickey 17 and the Alto Knights, but now with Minecraft and of course with Sinners, and then what's to come later in the year, hopefully they'll be on firmer ground. But speaking of other WWE stuff, TKO leveled up the WWE. They bought AAA, which was one of the biggest, or is one of the biggest Mexican wrestling promotions, alongside CMLL. A bunch of wrestlers who actually currently work for WWE, including Penta there, who was at WrestleMania, and alongside his brother Rey Fenix, who subbed in for Rey Mysterio for a match on night 1. All of these talents are now, they used to wrestle at AAA, they're now in WWE, and they had a bunch of wrestlers from AAA, as well as the ownership or the management now, at the event. And they announced that in June in LA they'll do a Worlds Collide event where there'll be a crossover between WWE, NXT, and AAA wrestlers. So that looks interesting. This was if you're a fan of wrestling, this is big. This is a big deal that WWE now owns AAA. They're working closely with TNA in the United States. Nobody ever thought back in the day that WWE would be working actively in this capacity since the days of buying WCW and ECW. So yeah, I mean, they're expanding their horizons. I think as a wrestling fan, this gives you more options. So I'm all for it. John clearly is not, which is why he's not on camera. But Netflix is also now launching, they announced this over the WrestleMania weekend as well. There's a new reality show coming from WWE, and it's going to be all about the writer's room. They're going to lift the curtain. Kayfabe is no more. You're going to get to find out that Triple H himself in the teaser trailer, which you can watch online, he says we're gonna strap a rocket on the back of Jey Uso, and he won the world title over the weekend. So clearly they're already doing that. The show is called WWE Unreal, pretty self-aware, but the show will be on Netflix. It's gonna be a behind-the-scenes documentary look at everything that WWE does, from like the writing room and how they write their storylines, how they develop their characters, the promos. It's going to be interesting. I, for one, who has been following wrestling all my life, would love to see this and see how the process works. And I know some of it might still feel a little bit like Hard Knocks, so not everything gets put on camera, but what we do get is more than what we have gotten in the past. Enterprising saying Minecraft is holding the family and gamer market down. Great. Manos Time also saying, by the way, I don't know if you guys talked about it, but they finally did the thing in The Last of Us. Yes, we did, Manos. Yes, we did. Be kind and rewind. They did the thing. Joel, no, he went golfing. We talked about it, so you're welcome to go back and check that out. Yeah, and then Ron, yes, Superman is on the way. That's the DC Studios thing, but that will help the greater Warner Brothers Discovery situation. But as far as Warner Brothers Pictures goes, Sinners and Minecraft, great 2 picks for them. Elite Easy is saying we need a Batman Metal and Batman Who Laughs animated stuff. He's in a bunch of games, but Warner is always slow to make it into animation. They're just starting to work on 1994's seminal Nightfall. Yeah, well, hopefully James Gunn will get around to it, or Jim Lee will get around to it. Mucha Lucha. It's a way of life. Enterprising. You're a big wrestling fan. I, for one, haven't seen a lot of AAA recently, but I'm excited. And Elite Easy is excited for the AEW CMLL show in June. So another crossover on the other side of wrestling. WWE messed up the UK scene with NXT UK, collaboration over monopolies. Yeah, well, I mean, hey, the wrestling world is as healthy as ever, and you could clearly see that WWE is doing its thing right now. Monday Night Raw is on air as we speak. The Raw after WrestleMania, one of the most raucous crowds of the year. But with that, we have come to the end of the news part of the show, and
thank fucking Christ, no more of that WrestleMania shit.
Let us know in the comments, what was your favorite story of the day from the news section? Was it, when Joel went golfing finally? A little bit unexpected this early in season 2. The Pope passed away. We discussed that a little bit. Of course, the box office of Sinners blowing everybody's expectations, and Minecraft is going beyond 700 million at the box office, and of course all the different quick hits from the WrestleMania weekend to Sigourney Weaver joining Star Wars Celebration as a whole. We'll have some more Star Wars Celebration stuff on tomorrow's show, because there's so much announced we couldn't fit it all in today's show. But let us know in the comments down below what you think. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and hit the notification bell. As always, we're here 5 days a week talking about it, so I'm sure we'll get into other news tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that. With that in mind, though, John, now it's time for movie of the week. So let's get into that, shall we? The movie of the week today is Sinners. Now, this is a movie that we have already spent a bunch of time talking about the box office, but now we're going to actually talk about the movie itself. John went and saw the movie. Sinners is just one of those original, movies that is so rare, where you have a big name director directing something that he wrote himself, he or she or they wrote themselves, that is an original concept, an idea that they came up with, that they were given the money of a bigger, like $90 million budget, something that you would associate with a big IP release. And they made a great film that has got a near perfect score at Rotten Tomatoes, is getting amazing reviews from the fans, and is making genuinely a good amount of money at the box office. It's rare to see that these days. It's kind of sad that it's this rare, but it's happening for Sinners. So John, you went and saw the movie. I want to get your opinion on this. Tell me all about what you thought about the movie. You're welcome to bring in any spoilers if you'd like. If you'd like to hold off on it, though, that's up to you. But the folks out there, just be warned, there may be a bit of spoiler talk here. So if you haven't seen it, close your ears.
I'm gonna try to avoid as many spoilers as I can. If you think something is a spoiler, I'm gonna keep it. To be fair, the second trailer did spoil a bit of shit, so just keep that in mind. That's not my fault; it's the marketing's fault. But I thought this was a great film. Pretty much everything in regards to this movie was fantastic. I thought Michael B. Jordan in the dual role. The dual roles are like a thing this year, because you had the monkey, you had Alto Knights, you had Mickey 17. If I had $1 for every Warner Brothers original project that featured a dual actor with a dual performance by one actor, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. But I think he did. I mean, that's no secret. I think Michael B. Jordan is one of the best actors working today. He can seamlessly go through genres effortlessly, and when he works with Ryan Coogler, you get greatness for the most part. I'm still not a huge Black Panther fan, but I think he did an excellent job. I mean, he was one of the best parts of the Black Panther movie. But he was excellent here. I thought Haley Steinfeld was great when, going from kind of scorned lover to, creepy bloodsucker. She could have faltered with one of those, but she didn't, and I thought that was great. Miles Caton, the guy right here, he was more or less kind of the main character of the movie, because he was like kind of the audience surrogate, because he was like the young preacher's son who wanted to like take on music, and he that's what he wanted to do with his life, but like being a preacher's son, it's the devil's music, all that shit. But I think he like really grew over the course of this movie, and how he really became who he was. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it really worked here. And I thought Delroy Lindo, he was pretty funny. You have Jack O'Connell, who was Remick, the head vampire. I thought he was excellent. There's so many things that could be dumb from him, but isn't. Again, I can't say a lot, but like pretty much all the performances, excellent. I thought the cinematography was absolutely beautiful. There's so many shots of great use of color. Thanks, Ryan Coogler, for reminding us what fucking color is in a movie. Very much appreciate that. There was one sequence in the film where it was like kind of, Ryan Coogler, he does his all-in-one take. That scene in a Ryan Coogler movie where it's all in one take, like the scene in, Creed, where it was the boxing match in one take, or what is showcased to look like at least one take. It was like the scene with like decades of music, and how like in like past, present, future vibes, and it very well done. I thought there great lighting, creepiness. I think it was properly spooky. I don't think it was creepy or scary, but that's just me. But even then, I think what this movie really does well is mixing of genres. I think, there's horror there, yes, but there's also elements of comedy, Western, musical, action, but nothing ever feels tonally inconsistent. Like, it blends magically. Same thing with the music, which is by Academy Award winner Ludwig Göransson. I know he won for Oppenheimer. I don't know if he won for Black Panther. I think he did, but I'm not sure. But I know he definitely has an Oscar. But he, did greatness here. Again, he was blending various genres of music, but there was elements of rock, of jazz, of punk, of blues, R&B, a little bit of rap and hip hop in there. Just so much blending, because that's a heavy component of this, is the music. It's the music of the movie is heavy and exactly. Yeah, and the thing is, that's not an insult. I would say, Enterprise, and that's not an insult. It's very funny. It made me laugh, and it wasn't cringy humor or annoying or, as I said, inconsistent. It worked with the overall narrative and the overall structure. It didn't take away from the more horrific aspects of the movie, and it also had plenty of Easter eggs and references to other movies like The Shining, Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, Horror of Dracula, a lot of great references, and there's just so many moments that hit so hard. And Alien is another one, because what this movie does brilliantly is it builds up all these characters, so when they eventually, like, you know, if they do bite the bullet, it's earned. Like, you feel it. It hurts. And I really liked that. The only thing I didn't like, and this was something Black Panther suffered from, was the structure and the pacing to me. Because I felt the way this was structured, it felt like the first half of the movie felt like Act 1. Like, it felt like the buildup went on like too long. Like, I get why he did it, because then Alien's pacing is the same way, but for some reason Alien, it worked better. Here it just felt like awkward after a while, because the problem with this movie and Black Panther is that the rest of the movie felt rushed. The second half of the movie felt like you rushed through Act 2 and Act 3 really quickly, and it just went through way too quickly. Like, the pacing in the first half was good. It was slow, but it was a good slow burn. But it still felt like it shouldn't have been as long as it was. And then the second half felt really rushed. Like, they were rushing through, like, Act 2 in half the time it should be, and then Act 3. So that was the major thing I didn't like. That was the only thing that prevented this from being a perfect movie in my eyes. But outside of that, From Dusk Till Dawn, that was another one. That again, but the structure worked a little bit better there, because it felt like almost two different movies. Like, it felt like the road trip movie and then the vampire movie. So it still worked. Here, it just felt awkward to me. The structure was very awkward, because I remember that was one of the major things I didn't like about Black Panther. Difference is, this movie everything else was so fucking amazing that it, like, honestly, I wouldn't say it's a nitpick, because it brought a 10 out of 10 movie to like a 9 out of 10 for me. But it's still an absolutely excellent movie. Meanwhile, Black Panther has a ton of other problems that made that movie not as good as everyone had said it was. But yeah, Sinners, I wouldn't say it's the best movie I've seen all year. I would say it's not my favorite, nor it's the best. I think the best movie I've seen all year is probably Warfare, and my favorite so far is probably Ash. But this is still an absolute triumphant and amazing achievement from Coogler and company. I can't wait to see more original films from him, because this is his first real original movies, because Fruitvale Station was based on a true story. Creed was the Rocky franchise, and both Black Panther movies were, the MCU. So this was, even though vampire folklore isn't exactly original, this is still his story, like his original story. And it, so I can't wait to see more original stuff from him. I know he's planning to do an X-Files reboot, which could go either way.
God, that would be so amazing.
I hope it's good. I hope it's not just Ryan Coogler being like, I want to do this thing, but I do want to see original stuff from him. But outside of that, I thought this was an amazing movie. It's probably top 5, top 10 for me so far this year. I thought it was brilliant, and I just wish the structure and pacing was a little bit better, because the second half was a little bit too rushed for me personally. But outside of that, great stuff. Please go see it. Go support stuff like this. It's so good, so well done. If you want to see more of my spoilery thoughts, go check out my Cool Kids review. I was a little filibustery during that review, but I tried my best to, be consistent with my notes. But yeah, I thought this was great. Please go see this. Don't fucking support Minecraft. Don't support fucking Chicken Jockey.
Well,
support original movies. Support black creators. Support just horror, because who doesn't love horror movies? Just support, like, every facet of this movie is just great. Like, it's like, in terms of like black creators, original films, vampire films, which are definitely getting a renaissance with stuff, especially like Nosferatu and Abigail as well. So keep the vampire movies coming. Let's fucking go. So yeah, go see it, guys. It's great stuff.
Nico in the chat saying hello. Go support Zaslav. Well, I mean, it is a Warner Brothers movie. Enterprising saying is the best I've seen so far as movies go this year. I wish we could all be like the cool kids. Thank you, Enterprising. Yeah, Morbius was before its time, TC24. We do agree with you. I think Morbius was before everybody's time. But Sinners, I mean, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes still after 270 reviews, certified fresh. The popcorn meter with over 5,000 reviews is hot with 97%. So almost near perfect on both fronts. That is amazing. And then you saw well, actually, I want to go back to this a little bit later, but you saw the shot they were filming with IMAX cameras, and Ryan Coogler did. And part of the inspiration came from Christopher Nolan himself, who was given some special thanks. Him alongside Emma Thomas, his producer partner, who's also his life partner in real life. The both of them got special thanks in the credits because they advised Ryan Coogler to shoot the film with large format cameras like the IMAX cameras that Nolan loves so much. Ryan Coogler was very, very thankful of him. He said that I'm often asking him advice about life, but on this one, it was about working with IMAX. He was the first call I made. And lo and behold, man, Christopher Nolan passing on the knowledge, and it's obviously resulted in, I think, some of the iconic cinematography of this movie is because of the fact that they used those IMAX cameras and shot the movie in the way that they did. You just don't get that kind of effect. Like, this movie is meant to be seen on the big screen, and it really shows. Some of the cool photoshops that I saw online about this was like Michael B. Jordan, you got Smoke and Stack. This is from Sinners movie itself. They kind of put the pair of Jordans together, as it were. You saw that on the thumbnail for today's show. Looks nice. But John, there's also a couple of other things we mentioned earlier. This is the first horror movie in over 35 years to get an A cinema score, which is fantastic. Holy cow! I mean, that's amazing that people coming out of the theater have such high regard for this movie. That is amazing. And then there was this one little thing of like, the mythology of the vampires.
I just wish they would pick up their fucking trash. That would be nice. I had to fucking pick up
Well,
popcorn.
they have to
buckets
be
and shit.
invited in, right? Like, they're not just gonna find their way, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
It goes, and this is a great article on the Direct explaining like the history of how
Yeah, I like how they
other
took
movies.
a relatively idiotic part of vampire lore and somehow made it interesting and scary. I really liked that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Enterprising, it is really, really cool of Nolan to be, that kind of advisor and kind of mentor almost to Ryan Coogler. And yeah, Ron, it is very interesting indeed. It could be a Halloween classic. I mean, obviously it didn't come out during Halloween time, but I mean, I'm sure people can get back to it.
Neither did like 3 of the Halloween movies. Like both of the remakes and the last like 3 movies of the timeline came out in August.
Yeah, and then Jalen saying, I love that he added that part of their lore. And then, I think TC24 Get Out did not have an A cinema score. It might have had like an A minus. We're talking A, like, A is like the second highest. You can get A plus. So like this is.
Well, I mean, he didn't add it though. I mean, the idea of vampires not being invited, so that's a pretty old bit. I mean, Ryan Coogler didn't add that. That's a known piece of lore. It's just nobody uses it because it's kind of an idiotic thing to add, but the way he used it here was very interesting. So,
I mean, another review. This is from Cinema Blend saying Sinners is a full meal, which is what you said too, John. It's the kind of movie that you want to go back and see a few times. And when asked about whether there is a Sinners 2 on the cards, because there were some post-credit scenes in this movie, he said, I never think about that. I've been in a space of making franchise films for a bit, so I wanted to get away from that. I wanted the movie to feel like a full meal, your appetizer, starters, entrees, and desserts. I wanted all of it there. I wanted it to be a holistic and finished thing. That was how I was asked all about it. That was always my intention. So making it pretty clear that he doesn't intend for there to be a sequel, John. But do you think if this movie ends up,
I don't think it should have a
$500 million movie?
Please don't. I know Warner Brothers is going to take the wrong lessons from this because it's fucking Warner Brothers and they are the kings of bad decisions. However, I do hope they're like, you know what, let's leave this alone and they just keep it a one-off because not everything needs a fucking sequel. So just keep it's as he said, it's a full meal, it's a whole story, had a beginning, middle, and end. It worked. Please keep it like that.
Yeah. Well, the movie is just entered the theaters and cinemas, so you guys can go check it out for yourself. Let us know what you think about it, John. I imagine you recommend it. Go see it in a movie theater, right? This is not one to skip and wait till streaming, I imagine.
Yeah, don't go see it with your ma, your dad, your best friend, your brother, your sister, your grandma, your grandpappy, your dog, your boss, your coworker, your work crush, your work hubby. Go fucking see it with everybody you know. Make sure it's a
Absolutely.
huge success.
Absolutely. And guys, with that, of course, let us know in the comments down below what you think about Sinners. I know some of you guys in the live chat are already letting us know, but if you drop your comments down below, we'll bring those in for the Q&A session. If you have questions for us, bring those in to the Q&A session on Friday. But in order for us to have that for the Q&A session, you have to leave the comments in the comment section down under the video. Hit the like button while you're at it. We are, of course, here 5 days a week talking about DC, Marvel, everything from the world of Hollywood. And we will be reviewing more movies as the week goes on. I'm sure Liz will be here, and then she'll talk about all the movies she saw over the weekend, and she will give us her thoughts on Sinners. I will give you my thoughts on Sinners. I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, I know a lot about it, but I'm trying not to spoil the rest of it. So let us know in the comments down below what you thought about Sinners. Is this one that you've already seen? What did you think about it? Hit subscribe and hit that notification bell while you're at it. But in the meantime, we have to switch our focus on to a little bit of Marvel news. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to talk about the world of the MCU and just Marvel, at large, because there's a lot going on there. And then on the other side of that, we're going to dive into DC. But to start things off, I wanted to bring in John again here. There's a few things from the world of Marvel, even though Liz is not here, but I think it's significant stuff that we want to discuss. The first of which is Ian McKellan and Alan Cumming reuniting on the set in London for Avengers Doomsday. They're starting to film their scenes, and it looks nice. It's like a full circle moment, right? Like these guys have worked together, or going back as far as almost 20 years, John.
Ian McKellan looks so happy to be there and not thinking, man, I want my tapioca pudding and a nap.
I too would be thinking that. I mean, he's going, if I was in his shoes, right? Like he's up there. I'm surprised that he's signed on to come back. They must be paying those guys really, really well.
No, it's all going to RDJ. That's where it is.
Well, I mean, but I imagine these movies have the kind of budget where everybody gets. Nobody's gonna get 100 million, but like they're gonna get a few mil a piece. I'd imagine that's got to be like part of the package. But you know what? Avengers Doomsday, while it is filming, Fantastic Four is done filming and it's on its way. We just got a new trailer for it, and now we have an official press release confirming basically the official cast of the movie. So the official cast of the movie, I'm gonna go through all the names and we're gonna stop and maybe have questions about some of them, because some of them are obvious. You have Reed Richards, Pedro Pascal, for example, moving on from The Last of Us now. He's firmly in the MCU. Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, she's potentially pregnant in this movie with Franklin Richards. We found that out with the new trailer. Of course, Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm. We got a little bit of him in there. He's going to be one of the two best uncles in the world to Franklin. So he's a part of the movie. We know that he's one of the Fantastic Four. Eben Moss-Bachrach, who's Ben Grimm, and the design for the Thing, I think, is probably one of the better designs we have seen out of all the different versions of the Thing we have seen over the years. So I do particularly enjoy his take, at least so far in the trailers. So I do like the look that we've gone with the hat and the clothes and with his costume and everything. Now we're going to get into some of the potential surprise or mystery parts of the cast. Of course, we know Ralph Ineson is playing Galactus. That much we know. We haven't seen the face of Galactus yet, but we have seen him from behind. And we have also seen, of course, Julia Garner as Silver Surfer. The look of the character. Remember, this is not like, they just gender swap the character. In the comics, her Silver Surfer is like the love interest of the Silver Surfer we are more familiar with from the previous iterations of the Fantastic Four. But then you get into Sarah Niles, who's playing Lynn in the movie. A character named Lynn. We have no idea what other purpose this character serves. Maybe she's just a civilian. Maybe there's more to it than that. We'll find out when the movie comes out. TC24 saying, bruh, let Ian go home. Or I'm sure once Ian McKellen is done filming his stuff for Doomsday, he will get to go home. And Ron, we got your question. We will bring that into the Q&A session later in the week. Thank you for dropping that by. Figure Drawing is in the chat saying hello. I like that part of the lore. It's like when cops are banging on your door, don't let them in unless you have a judge-signed warrant. Yes, that's a good comparison. I mean, I'm sure you're talking about Sinners, that is. So yeah, and Ron did like the new Fantastic Four trailer. Thought he still prefers Superman, but that's fair. Moving on to the next person on the cast, the official cast includes Paul Walter Hauser for Fantastic Four. His character, we also don't know much about. We don't even have a name for the character, and clearly they're not giving that away. He did say though that his character will go down in history, which, take it for what it's worth, I have no idea what that means. John Malkovich, John, we were speculating earlier this year, who is he playing in the movie? Is he playing like an out of time character? Is he playing some other alien, or like, I don't know what kind of character he's gonna play. But John Malkovich hasn't done superhero movies before. This is the one he signs on for. I'm sure he thought it was worth the effort. So yeah, I hope that it ends up being something that, you know, we can be happy with at least. But I mean, John, do you have any clues as to who he might be playing?
I'm gonna throw out a theory. A future version of Franklin Richards.
That's a theory
I think he's time traveled in the past.
It's possible. Yes. It would tie into the fact that they're having a baby and then all of a sudden, we've seen that trope a lot recently, but I mean, if you do it well, it could still play out really good and it could work with the story. Enterprising saying John Malkovich just being John Malkovich. No, but that's a very popular one online. I think that's a good idea, potentially, that he's just an older Franklin Richards. And you certainly, you know, if you want to play an older Franklin Richards, he's the man, you know, like he's who gets a gravitas to pull it off. One of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel ever. So yeah, I think it's a good theory there. Natasha Lyonne is also in there. The new season of Poker Face is airing right now, and she's also a part of this show. She's part of the cast. People are speculating that she's going to play the love interest, Alicia Masters, for Ben Grimm, but her role has not officially been disclosed. John, do you think she could be Alicia Masters? Ben Grimm's love interest?
I could see it. I mean, she's really good. I think that could work. I hope they don't. That could be an interesting thing, like if they do in fact make it so that like the Fantastic Four loses to Galactus and they have to leave Earth. There's going to be like the really like fucked up thing of like Ben leaving the love of his life, and he's forced to deal with that guilt even more of like being this rock monster, and it's like now I have no one to love, or no one to love me for me because I look like a rock monster. So, you know, I think that could be an interesting bit. But I mean, they do have Natasha Lyonne. I would say she's like a huge name, but she's a bigger name than like a lot of other people in this movie. So like some of the smaller characters at least. So it's like, yeah, I could see her playing a slightly bigger character of someone who's like the love interest of, you know, Ben Grimm. So I could see that.
Same. I can see it. Yeah, Hunter Iggy's saying that John Malkovich is just playing an older version of you, John. Which interesting theory. Very interesting theory. Yeah, well, that's it. That's the cast. Obviously, a bunch of significant names: John Malkovich, Natasha Lyonne. Who are they playing? They haven't disclosed it yet. I'm sure we'll find out. Maybe it's spoilery stuff. That's why they're not telling us just yet. So we'll just have to wait for the movie. But John, this is the time of the show where I might have to step away, but I'll leave you off with this story. Delroy Lindo. You were talking about him not too long ago. He, of course, was, you know, while he was he's part of Sinners, right? Like that's he's part of the movie.
Was in the film. Yep.
He was being interviewed and obviously being asked about what he was doing with Blade, because he was involved with that movie as well at one point. And he said, look, they were really interested in his input on the movie until the thing went off the rails. Are you surprised that Delroy Lindo was such a big part of that potentially? And you know, up until obviously the movie went off the rails, as you said?
Yeah, I think it makes sense that that he would just eventually like up and leave, because, you know, he just, you know, like it's like same with like Aaron Pierre and like all these other guys. They're like, it went off the rails, so why the fuck would I need to be a part of this? I'm gonna get the hell out of here. So that's what he did. He got the hell out, and he's like, fine, I'm gonna be part of this much better Blade, or not Blade, but this better vampire movie. And then there was like a rumor that the Blade movie was supposed to take place in the 20s or something, which I don't believe that in the slightest. It's like, oh, we just happen to have this big vampire movie that came out and that takes place in the 30s. Oh yeah, Blade was supposed to take place in the 20s. It's like, I don't believe that for a second, considering that, you know, Mahershala Ali was in the post-credit scene for Eternals, and he was there. So why do a 19? I guess maybe make it interesting. I don't know, but yeah, I think obviously he's a pretty great character actor. He probably has a lot of interesting things for the character. I know he was playing somebody else. I don't know. We don't know who he was playing. I'm gonna go with Whistler. Probably that could have been an interesting bit in regard to that, but yeah, I think it kind of sucks because I was intrigued with a Blade movie, but like if Marvel can't figure out a guy who kills vampires, then maybe it's, you know, for the best. So yeah, kind of it. But yeah, so in regards to Daredevil Born Again, I mean, we all know what happens with, you know, this in regards to
I mean, they had a scene here at the end. What I would say is like there was a scene towards the end of the show where Frank Castle is jailed up in prison, but he escapes. And the showrunners confirming that literally will tie into the Punisher special. And then obviously whatever happens in that special is then probably going to tie back into season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Not really all that surprising. I'm sure if you guys saw the show, then you almost are expecting that to be the case. I mean, John, are you excited for what will be the Punisher special coming to Disney Plus? The only thing we have to worry about is the timeline, because we know the next season of Daredevil Born Again is coming in March of next year. It's just a matter of like, will we get the Punisher special in between now and then as well? You know,
that's more the most likely, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, that's not the only Daredevil story that we have today. We also have to talk about how, the creator of the show was saying that Matt Murdock's love life is probably going to get another twist in the next season. Obviously, if you saw the show, you know that his girlfriend during season 1, probably not a tenable relationship considering that she's working so closely with Fisk, with Wilson Fisk. So they're gonna have to probably, they did go their separate ways, and we have seen in the behind the scenes photos that Karen is back, so with a different hairstyle. Maybe she's in witness protection or whatever. Are you surprised? Do you think they're gonna go back to maybe Karen as the love interest, John?
It's entirely possible. You know, I think I mean, they're bringing her back. Like, she's gonna have like a major, like, she's gonna have like a major part in season 2. So, and she's like the OG love interest. So why not? You know, like that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's based on the set photos. That's where they're going. And I'll be surprised.
Oh, Caleb, finally in the chat. Hello, we missed you. I mean, not really, but you know.
Yeah. Well, hello, Caleb, and I'm gonna say my goodbyes for the night because I have some place to be. But John will be here with you guys. We have DCU Daily coming up. A couple more Marvel things to discuss before we get to that, and then of course we'll be looking ahead to the movies that will be this weekend. So hello, Caleb. If you missed you definitely missed the Joel No part of the show. So be kind and rewind if you want to listen to the conversation about The Last of Us season 2 and what happened over the weekend. But John, you know, onwards and upwards. Maybe if you have a new Miles Morales casting on the way.
Yeah, maybe. And on that note, hi, I'm John. If you're new to the show, I'm John. Nice to meet you. But yeah, so the thing that I brought up a little bit too early, whoopsie daisies, was in regards to Miles Keaton. Now, I briefly talked about him in my Sinners review, and he was great in the film in Sinners, and he was, even though he was just a singer, he proved himself to be a great actor as well. I mean, he stood toe to toe with Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. People have been in the industry for years, and been in such a big project from a noteworthy director, and he proved it. Now he's a young black kid, and he's, people want to snatch him up for a franchise. And who do they want him to play? Well, he already mentioned who he wants to play, and he wants none other than, of course, Miles Morales. He's like, I'm a big Marvel fan. That's top of the top. So Shooting for the Stars. His name is Miles Morales. Here's the thing. I think, could that be great? Yes. But I think that would, maybe because I'm more of a DC fan, that's entirely possible. I think he would be better as Cyborg. I think he's the perfect age. I think he's the perfect, I think he would be, I just, imagine him saying booyah. Come on now. But I mean, they do have a Teen Titans movie coming out soon, and I think DC should snatch him up before Marvel, but that's just my opinion, because I think, I think he would be better suited for that role than Miles. I don't know. He just has this energy to him that he's not. I think Miles is a little bit too like quick and wiry because he's Spider-Man. I think Miles is more like subdued, like Miles Keaton as an actor is more subdued and kind of chill. And I feel like that fits Cyborg a little bit more. Like he's more like just his voice, like dude's 20. He sounds like he's 50. Like the dude has a deep, deep voice. I almost didn't believe him like in throughout that entire, like, is that his actual voice? So I was like, interesting. Yeah, he's 20 years old. Yes, thank you, Nico. Yeah, and plus, he's Hispanic and black. Elite Easy E mentioned that. But I think I think he would be better suited as Cyborg. I just saw him and I'm like, yeah, that works. Unfortunately, he's not huge and big like Cyborg, but I think, if Jovan Wade can make that, like, he wasn't huge, but he made that character work, and I liked his design in Doom Patrol. So, because I mean, practical over non-practical, but that's just me. But yeah, I think he did mention, of course, being, being the one of the big two studios. He's like, you know what, I'm a fan, of course I gotta mention it. So here we are. But moving on to the last bit of Marvel news. Apparently Marvel Studios has now chosen its new Black Panther, allegedly. So they were talking about, there has been a rumor. I mean, we were talking about Damon Idris being a rumor a while back when that fake concept art leaked onto the web, where it was like Star-Lord was with Vision. There was another version of Black Panther, and it looked suspiciously like Damon Idris. So yeah, that was interesting. But it seems like, of course, this is coming from Jeff Snyder, so it's probably bullshit. But but they said, Rosha asked Snyder whether Doomsday would include former Black Panther mantle bearers, T'Challa or T'Chaka, both of whom are now deceased in the MCU. Snyder was quick to reply, I think so. All right, he's not even trying with his bullshittery, but that's whatever. But he was like, oh, I don't know. So he's like, I have no idea. I mean, listen, is there any distinction at this point? It's not T'Challa 1, it's T'Challa 2. They're casting the son, they're casting the new Black Panther. I'm already sort of intimating who it was going to be. They made an offer to an actor who is now a superhero elsewhere, and there will be a lot on that person's shoulders. So, I think, I mean, here's the thing. Jeff Snyder is usually wrong. We make fun of him so fucking much on the show. So it just, it's just tiring. It really is. It is tiring at this point. So, yeah, pure BS, but but ignoring the fact it's BS, let's just talk about the fact, would you eventually want to see Black Panther's son, because they confirmed that in Wakanda Forever, eventually become the new Black Panther? Because that could be in another world that takes place in the future, they could cast him, and then eventually when that kid ages up, they can bring that actor in. And they said it's like allegedly a superhero actor elsewhere. Who the fuck knows what that means? But obviously this here is bullshit, but it brings in some aspects. Would you want to see Dangerous as like a multiversal variant of T'Challa's son? And would that be okay? Because I mean, they already have Shuri as the new Black Panther. They, taking that mantle, and they did like the whole tribute to him for Wakanda Forever. So there was that as well. But yeah, I think it's just Black Panther is just kind of like ironically going from Ryan Coogler to not. It's just like sort of a hot water kind of situation, because no matter how you talk about it, just like you got to think about Chadwick Boseman. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Because he left such an imprint on this character. He was the first real live action iteration of this character. He's beloved. Yeah, I didn't care for the first movie. I never watched the second, but he left an imprint on a lot of people. He was an inspiration for a lot of people. And just even though I don't love the movie, he was great in the role. Like, he was an exemplary actor taken from us far too soon. And he would have done great things. And remember, kiddos, get your colons checked. Go for a colonoscopy at the age of 30. It'll save you heartbreak later on. But it's just, it's a hot water topic. They did the right thing. They made like half of Wakanda Forever was a tribute to him, and the other half was like building up Shuri as the next Black Panther. Makes sense. But then they got to look at the future. Like, do we want a new T'Challa? Do we want his son to take over the mantle? Do we want to include him as a multiversal variant? I think it would be interesting to include that, because it could be maybe a character development moment for Shuri, that like maybe on this world he didn't die, and this iteration of T'Challa's son just organically inherited Black Panther. Like, T'Challa just became too old and he needed a younger guy, so he became the new Black Panther. So that could be kind of like, it kind of reminds me of the moment from Star Trek 2009, where young Chris Pine as Kirk is talking to older Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy, and he's like, did I know my father on your world? He's like, yes, you knew him, you had a relationship. That could be a good character developing moment for the two, if they include like a multiversal variant for T'Challa's son, and who maybe didn't have a T'Challa that died too soon from a disease. I don't know what disease it was in the movie. I never watched it, but that could be interesting. Again, a character development scene. Would they do that? Probably not, because that would mean they would do something interesting with the role and interesting with the characters, and Marvel doesn't tend to do that a lot. So we will, Caleb McLaughlin is who you're thinking of. So yeah, just an interesting little tidbit in regards to the future of that character. Obviously we will we'll just have to wait and see in regards to that. But we have but that is it for MCU Weekly. Thank you for watching. However, we're not done yet, so don't skip away, because we have DCU Daily, guys. Hello, welcome to DCU Daily. I'm John. Very nice to see you and meet you. But we're here to talk about so much in regards to fucking Superman Day. We still have so many tidbits that we didn't even touch upon on the 18th. So we got to bring that shit back here. So we're going to be talking about that. And, first things first, we're going to be talking about Garrett Dillahunt. Garrett Dillahunt, he showing off his duds for Superman Day. And yes, Mortkana entered the chat. I don't know if you were here before. And Man of Steel Magnolias was also in the chat. So thank you guys for joining. Ron, nice to see you guys. That could be interesting. Yes, T'Challa and Storm, I'm aware of that. So yeah, maybe what they can do again with the multiversal variant is like maybe his son has a relationship with Storm. That could be interesting. Anyway, and like he becomes like the new Black Panther. Like again, when all the worlds merge and shit like that, and they pull a Crisis on Infinite Earths, maybe he can be folded in. He'll be the new Black Panther, but it'll be like an older version of the son. There will be like maybe two sons. Maybe the kid dies. I don't know, but maybe he can have like a, he can be with Storm because people love that team up. But anyway, Garrett Dillahunt saying he said, "Fetch your tights, wear your undies on the outside, pow bam." So he was talking about just showing off his duds for Superman Day, which is great. We love to see it. I mean, we saw the whole cast. We saw the whole Superman cast where they're, fancy schmancy t-shirts. But Garrett Dillahunt, who is going to play the villain in Lanterns, said who also said he's going to be like it's one for the history books, whatever that means. So, that'll be great. But here he is showing off his duds. He's a really good actor, so I'm curious what his Lanterns villain will bring us. But showing support for the DCU and showing support for Superman Day. So that was nice to see. But speaking of Lanterns, another lore drop for it in regards to the crew. Apparently, Oscar-nominated cinematographer Florian Hofmeister has been confirmed as the cinematographer for Lanterns. His work includes Tar, which was that Cate Blanchett movie where she was a composer. Antlers, a great movie. I think Guillermo del Toro produced it. Kind of a slow movie, not the greatest, but the cinematography was very good. And of course, True Detective. They've brought half the crew from True Detective to this point. So, they gotta bring in another one. So, yeah, another great inclusion for the Lanterns show. Again, 81 days to go, Man of Steel Magnolias. But it's getting better for Lanterns. Like it might have the worst writing in the world because thanks, Tom King. But hey, it'll look great. It'll be acted really well. So it'll look great. It got great actors, but I don't know about the writing. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so that was it for a bit of Lanterns news. Now Jim Lee was also talking about Superman Day. He was talking about at the Warner Brothers lot. They were talking about, the 500 fans who bought tickets to see Superman 78 in the theater on the lot. But fans went wild when James Gunn came by for a surprise meet and greet, and they took photos. They did a Q&A session, and they did a whole bunch of stuff for Superman Day. There they are with the fans, taking pictures. Look up. They took pictures with everybody. So it was great to it was great to see. Yeah, Jim Lee might be a bit of an annoying prick nowadays, but you know what? This is still very nice to see in regards to the celebration of Superman and what we will be getting later on this year. Yeah, Elite Easy, it would have been nice to see, but I don't live in LA. So happy Superman Day for everyone. Nice. Oh wow. All great. Very great to see. But on to the next thing we have. Apparently, we have Halloween costumes already have been confirmed. We got a bunch of Halloween costumes. We have so Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and the Engineer have all gotten Halloween costumes. Not Superman, but all these guys. But yeah, But yeah, we got a bunch of unless there's more. Okay, and it's okay. That makes sense. I was gonna say, like, guys, come on. But Dan starts it in the middle of the photo show, so the slideshow. So I didn't wear it. But yeah, no, it looks great. I mean, I'm not gonna be wearing it. My fat ass can't fit in this goddamn thing. I'll stick with my shirts. But we got some kids costumes, we got some adult costumes of everybody involved. So if you guys want to dress up as Superman or the Justice League International / Terrifics / the villain, you have these to choose from. Guys, who would you be for Halloween? Would you be, the generic, well, not generic, but like the easy go-to of Superman? And would you have a pupper to give a cape to? Or would you maybe dress up as Guy Gardner, maybe as Mr. Terrific, maybe as Hawkgirl, maybe as the engineer? Leave it in the comments below. Would love to hear what you guys would be for Halloween, unless you can't fit in this shit like me. So, love to see it. But yeah. But ooh. Alex Sinclair was talking about for Superman Unlimited comic he's working on that's going to come out next month, which is going to be written by Dan Slott, and the art and cover of the non-variant, like the actual comic, is Raphael Albuquerque. But he made a quick joke. While the rest of you were out there celebrating, some of us had to work on Superman Day. Very funny. So they were talking about the work they had to do on the variant cover, and so Jim Lee showing his unlimited penciling skills, and Scott Williams inks with his super mastery of inks. So but all of them were working on the variant cover for the upcoming Superman Unlimited, which is, by the way, on sale, is going to be on May 21st. So if you guys want to read something by Dan Slott, I don't know why you would want to, but then you can go pick that up on the 21st of May. But exactly 1 month from now. But yeah, this is a great variant cover. Like, this would actually want me to pick up the comic. I wouldn't, but like, this is nice to see. This would be nice on my wall of posters. But yeah, and then we had people raving about the behind the scenes featurette that appeared on Superman Day 3 days ago. Showing either behind the scenes looks like this one. You have the guy with the Miami Heat hat, clapping the soundboard for Superman, and then you also have in shots like this, Clark getting into the Daily Planet, which we saw in the initial trailer for the film. And so a lot of great mix of behind the scenes and in camera shots. But yeah, all of it looks great. Lovely to see. I mean, that featurette was brilliant. As this person said, in James Gunn we trust. We've gotten a lot of great shots. Like this was great. Like, this kind of reminded me of Superman Returns a little bit. I know that's not the highest compliment, since that's not the greatest movie, but it like gives me that vibe. Like, whether you like the costumes or not, it's undeniably going to be Superman, and got like stuff grabbed from the comics, and we're gonna be talking about this again later on, but just like I don't love the suit. Like, it's not amazing. I still don't like the collar. I don't like how the cape is, and I don't like the unnecessary lines everywhere. But outside of that, I love the Kingdom Come logo. I love the trunks. I love the color scheme. It all looks great. I think Isabella Merced looks great as Hawkgirl in her Terrifics-esque outfit. I can't wait for all three, well, mainly two of them, to get more comic accurate suits in the future. At least I hope so, because again, I kind of agree with the guy here, where he's like, still don't like Green Lantern in white. Yeah, Green Lantern in white is a little bit weird, but it's context for the movie, so it's fine. But I would like to see him in more of the leather jacket look to him like he is in the comics. But yeah, the color scheme, even with the darker colors and darker aspects of the thing. Yeah, the charred suit when he was fighting the kaiju got the bulge. Unfortunately, Dan isn't here to admire the bulge, but the bulge is there, guys. Bulge is there. But we did have differences between this suit and the next suit. You got Nicholas Holt being dapper as fuck. I love you, Superman, and we got all of this. Looks great, and it's just stoking the flames of the greatness of this fire. And we got Ultraman, we got the engineer, got James Gunn. Just again, a lot of great shots from this featurette. Lovely to see. We got that White Martian. We're going to be alleged White Martian. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. But yeah, just amazing to see. Look at this. This is what we wanted to see, guys. Just Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen and Clark Kent hanging out. Absolutely brilliant. Love to fucking see it. Hell yeah. And this was, the thing I was talking about before, the big group shot, Garrett Dillahunt and them, sharing a bit of swag. But yeah, I'm excited. We're all excited, looking great. But the thing that we wanted to kind of bring this up, I'm not going to go into it too much. Well, I mean, I could go into it if people are interested, but there's a behind the scenes shot from Superman, and apparently it's sparked a lot of theories. Now, there have been some theories in regards to, it's going to be, Lex Luthor in his war suit. However, this gentleman, and then somebody actually made a article about it, that it's the Hammer of Barovia, or Barovia, however you fucking pronounce it. But yeah, I think this is an interesting theory, because it's like, this is like an inherently a nothing character, because he is this like character. He was, I looked it up, outside as he was an Outsiders character, and he he appeared in like a couple comics here and there, but it's very James Gunn to include a character like this if it is true. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts about the Hammer of Barovia or Barovia. So I don't think, would it make sense for James Gunn? Yes, but I think it's just maybe another clone of Superman. Maybe the Ultraman / Ulysses one gets fucked up and he has to make a new one, or this is Ultraman in a better suit, because you can kind of see the goggles are kind of the same. It could be Lex Luthor in the war suit. It could be, it could be anything. I don't think it's the Hammer of Barovia, but it would be kind of cool to include, but that's just another character that they have to have, and I don't think they're going to include that, but could be interesting. But we got a new promotional poster. Very simple, looking good, great stuff. Liking this poster. I mean, I think we talked about it, but yeah, great poster for Superman. Fantastico, perfect suit. Nope. This looks awful, fucking horrible. But yeah, it is official, and honestly, I kind of like the look of it. I like the saturation of it all. Very colorful. I like how it looks here, and look, see, muscles. See, that's the people fucking were complaining about. Oh my god, muscle. Like, he has muscles, guys. Crazy, I know. But then the thing, this is my Vietnam, guys. I don't like Funko Pops. I fucking hate Funko Pops. But for all the people that do like Funko Pops, here you go. We have a Superman, a Lois Lane, a Crypto, a Lex Luthor, all 4 Funko Pops. They're not on sale yet, but they're on the site, but they're not on sale. It says on sale now, but this gentleman or lady says they are on the Funko site, but they're not for sale yet. So, you gotta wait. But yeah, Funko Pops if you want to see those. So, then we got James Gunn pumping up his Superman choice. We were talking about this a little bit, but he thinks he really is Superman. Even in his nerdiness, he listens to old jazz standards, which is untrue. Superman listens to fucking Metallica. It's canon in the comics. Like that's what he listens to just as normal procedure. Like Superman, he's a simple man in complicated times. We've talked about these you know uh we've talked about stuff like this in the past, and it's looking great, and really really nice to see. Like David Cornswet was like fan casted for so long as this character. The fact he finally is, it just still feels like a fever dream. Same with Jason Momoa as Lobo. It just feels like, wow, we got to this point, guys. It's crazy. But yeah, it's David Cornswet, just like the overall vibe I have in a lot of his interviews, his tone of voice, his demeanor, it just feels very right to me. It feels right. So definitely appreciate that a lot. And then for the last but not least, but while it was Superman Day on the 18th, here's the thing. It was Lois Lane Day as well, because Lois Lane was also introduced in Action Comics #1 back in 1938. So, this was lovely. See, you gotta respect one, you gotta respect the other. The ultimate power couple, and Lois Lane is just as integral to the Superman mythos as Superman himself. So it was it's nice to see, because Lois Lane integral, perfect, wonderful, amazing. And I think she's just as important to the character, as I said, with that whole mythos and everything in regards to that. So yeah, I think yeah, remember kiddos, don't forget about good old Lois Lane. But that is about it for DCU Daily. We are going, but we're not quite done yet. We are going to be talking about a preview for next week. So, wait, the wrong one. I apologize. So thanks for watching DCU Daily. However, don't leave quite yet, but make sure to like, comment, and subscribe in the meantime, because you got to pump those numbers up, guys. 27 viewers and 14 likes. Come on now. But we're looking at the preview for next week. We have tons of stuff. Big 3 movies. I'm going to be watching at least 2 of these. But the first being Cheech and Chong's last movie. It's going to sort of be a documentary / fictional movie. It's a mockumentary. It's like a little bit of both. But this is going to be coming out. Well, it did come out already yesterday, but it was a limited release because it was 420. So now it's gonna be a wide release this upcoming Friday. So we still have a chance to see that. But yeah, Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong finally put this part of their life to rest, I guess. While yes, Cheech and Chong will always be, legendary comedy duo, this will be their last movie. Now, we haven't gotten anything in regards to the tomato meter yet, but it seems like it's mostly positive from the 7 reviews. 6 out of 7 gave it a positive review. So it's sort of like one final goodbye in regards to these comedy legends in terms of them together. So, we were talking about like they were going past like kind of making peace with a lot of stuff. But Cheech and Chong, man, they are going to be in their final movie together, but they were discussing how their brothers grew up together, and they went through their rough patches. They had all their bullshit, irritation, all that shit. But they, will be in this final movie. I'm curious about it. I don't know if I'll get a chance to see it, but remember, they were in a bunch of movies together. Up in Smoke is the most famous one. Next movie, Nice Dreams, Things Are Tough All Over, Still Smoking, and Cheech and Chong's the Corsican brothers. They have a bunch of comedy albums together, and well, not comedy albums, but like albums of music together. So yeah, I think eventually Cheech Marin went on to have an acting career. Tommy Chong, I know he would eventually go on to be on That 70 Show, but he did like a lot of smaller roles and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're interested in Cheech and Chong, you have this mockumentary. But next up, we will also be discussing The Legend of Ochi, which is definitely a very interesting adventure film from A24. It blends live action and animation and puppetry and all that stuff, but it has a great cast. It's got Finn Wolfhard, Emily Watson, Willem Dafoe. So this is an interesting one. My friend just saw it. He said it was okay, not the greatest, but I'm still really curious. Definitely looks like an interesting movie. And then finally, we have the video game adaptation Until Dawn. This got a lot of controversy because a lot of fans of the game said it barely follows the game. It just follows the idea of getting respawned, taking that aspect and just making a movie out of that. So obviously, we'll see if that if a loose adaptation works or not. We don't know if it will, probably not, but I'm still interested because I do like David F. Sandberg as a director. Yeah, Cheech and Chong sell edibles and stuff too. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard great things about the Until Dawn game. Because it like has the your choices affect certain parts of the game, so you have like a different playthrough each time, much like the Telltale games. I was a huge fan of those, like Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and all that shit. So yeah, I know a lot of people were pissed that this barely followed the game, but I'm curious because I like how they're doing like different genres for every like iteration that they live, and it does have it's more like a video game movie, not as an adaptation, but like the idea of like respawning over and over again. So that's kind of a cool idea. But that is about it for the Oh So Curious show, guys. This has been very wonderful. Fortunately, Dan had to leave us towards the end, but still very very lovely to see. Very lovely to see everyone. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. We will be talking about more Superman stuff tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. To all the people that joined us in the chat, we got Elite Easy E, Ron, Enterprising, Dan came in a little bit in the comments, Jalen, Hunter Iggy, Hugo Millie, saw you for a hot sec. A little bit of beard stroking action. There you go. Who else? Kevin Davis, Man of Steel Magnolias, Morkana. Lovely to see all of you guys. Thank you for watching. TC24. Yes. Antonio as well. I just want to make sure to get everybody because I care about you guys. The Truth 31 and Yash were also in the chat. So thank y'all for watching. We appreciate every single one of you for watching the Oh So Curious show. But got a regular DCU Daily tomorrow for the rest of the week. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to comment after the show. Even if you missed us live, make sure to comment so we can feature you on a future episode, hopefully. But yes, that is it for today. Thanks for watching. and bat nipples.